You're listening to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. It would greatly benefit the show. It's a lot easier two-handed.
It is a lot easier with two hands. They all say that about a lot of things. Welcome to Movie Baiters with the Farx brothers. I'm Kyle.
I'm Kirk.
And on this series, we are here with two guests. Do you guys have a name for the two of you, or is it still just Christopher Wells and Andrew Schmidt?
Or Chris and Andrew.
Oh, Chris and Andrew?
Chris
okay.
and Andrew.
Well, you don't go Andrew and Chris. It's alphabetical.
We take turns.
Yeah, exactly. It's whatever people want it, whatever order.
Not AC for short.
Maybe,
Not that close.
Maybe we could do
Just-
AC, CA, CA.
You can also just, the co-founders of High Horse Productions, which is their team name for all the festivals we do.
Explain why your name is High Horse Productions for all of you.
I figured you'd be asking this.
Oh, yeah, I'm an in-depth interviewer.
We wanted to do something funny and clever. I think after we saw Chunky Milk Productions at multiple festivals, and we were like, that's the only team name we remember. Mm-hmm. We should have a team name that everybody remembers.
Who's Chunky Milk?
I don't know their names.
Yes, but we have seen them at multiple festivals, mostly the 48, but we have seen them recently at a Scream Enough Screen. Mm-hmm. And we're like, hey, we know those guys because they're Chunky Milk. And every time that their logo comes on, which is just like a close-up of the milk and chunky milk being poured into a glass, everyone goes, ew. But it's memorable. People remember them.
So I was thinking, this was a thought I had a long time ago. And it wasn't like necessarily something I planned on doing. It was just a funny idea I had. Finnegan's Brewery labeled itself as being all proceeds going to feed the hungry.
Yes, that's right.
And I thought that was like kind of a really cool idea to branding your place as proceeds going to charities. And I thought, what if there was a film studio that labeled itself as a nonprofit and labeled itself as all proceeds go towards charitable efforts. And then they could lean into it and act all high and mighty about it in all their marketing. And so I didn't even necessarily think of starting this. I just thought if anything, it would be like a fun short video of like a fake advertisement for this fake studio where like a studio head is like, hey, you can't give us a bad review because all proceeds are going towards child's cancer research. What are you going to do? Give the child cancer saving movie a bad review? You're a terrible person.
That's the Jim Caviezel argument for that movie.
This was before Sound of Fury was a thing.
That's right. Sound of Fury.
It's also before
I thought it
Mr.
was Sound of Freedom?
Sound of Freedom, yeah. Sound of Fury is the Drummond one, isn't it?
Yes. I think, or Sound of Metal.
There's too many.
Whiplash?
No.
No,
the Riz Ahmed, where
there's
he's
Ahmed,
deaf.
not-
and he's like a drummer, but he goes deaf, so obviously that's a big thing.
If you
Right.
don't listen to that one in surround sound, it sounds insane to watch because my wife and I watched that the Oscar year it was out, and listening to it without surround sound was very irritating in my parents' basement for half of it.
Interesting.
Wait, only for half of it? Why would we do the other half?
Well, we watched half of it and then we got tired and went to bed, and then we finished it at home the next day when we came home, and it was like, whoa, this is a
Much better experience.
better aural experience. AURAL.
Oral?
Oral.
And,
Coral. They're getting an oral experience of planes tonight. They're a little louder than
A little
usual.
bit.
yeah, my brother lives in the area. I'm familiar with the overhead planes.
Have you guys considered a logo that is a horse smoking a doob?
We've acknowledged that
You've
because
acknowledged it? Have
yeah.
you
because
acknowledged it?
we have friends who are more into stoner comedies, and they've pitched some kind of more stoner comedies.
Mhm.
And we've thrown around kind of variations of High Horse. We've thought about Die Horse for horror, like sub branch of it.
And then the horse would be a skeleton. Because we have, our logo is a horse that has a speech bubble that says hi, which was kind of my spin on Chris's idea.
It's also because HIGH horse was taken.
Oh, it is HI horse. Of
Correct,
course.
yes. Which is why the
People
horse...
have read that in our description of you guys, so that's
Yep.
that's good that I'm realizing this now.
Which is why the horse says hi, and the logo was all Andrew.
Yes, kind of, taking Chris's concept and noticing that he spelled it HI horse. And I was like, why don't I just add a speech bubble to, I think I took like a royalty-free image of a horse and then kind of photoshopped it so it was cartoony and then threw in the speech bubble and it says hi. And it always gets some kind of reaction in whenever we screen our movies in festivals. So pretty happy about that.
In the end, was really the right call, because my idea was sort of angelic Pegasus horse that would have been jumping up high, leaning into the get up your high horse, acting high and mighty of the original idea. Just having a goofy horse saying hi is way more our aesthetic.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are multi-hyphenates. This is usually where we start the interview, is what of your multi-hyphenates do you like to lead with? And what do you like to close with of your multi-hyphenates?
Can you define multi-hyphenate?
Okay, I know that both of you are writers. I know that both of you are directors. I think you also have some what is referred to as below-the-line positions you do for yourself. And I've worked with Andrew as a PA on something, so I assume you probably don't do that as much anymore, producing your own things, but which, I have to lead with producer because that's what I'm usually doing the most significant of my jobs compared to Kirk and Nick, unless I wrote it or unless I'm directing it.
For sure. I usually just say filmmaker just because I think our projects, we just kind of do so many roles where we'll be writer, director. I think we've been less acting, but we still act. I think we found, we're kind of growing our network to the point where we've met more and more people who are, better at acting than we are. So they typically, have the lead roles in our movies. And I think we are kind of getting more specialized to the point where okay, we're kind of finding areas where we're the best at, and kind of inching our way towards that. But at the same time, I think we're still amateurish enough that we kind of just fulfill any role that the production needs.
And at least you're an amateur.
Oh, all right. That was all right. I don't think
no. Let's talk about what you mean when you say amateur or hobbyist.
Yeah.
Since you say amateur, there's been a recent conversation, I would say ongoing in the community, but it's come to the fore maybe more recently, of how do you define what an amateur is? How do you define a hobbyist? And how do you define, I think professional is exchange of money and you do it as a profession. Like this pilot flies the plane above me right now.
Don't call it out.
Was it coming through? Are you going to be able to eliminate that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Unless you want to take 3. Yeah, go ahead. One more time.
In my opinion, I guess that kind of the aspect of getting paid kind of separates the two. When I say amateurish, I'm not, I have no kind of, I'm not looking for profit at all with any of my work at the moment. I'm just kind of, I'm doing these, and part of it is I'm doing this not, I am hoping to kind of advance my skills, but I'm not looking to my current output. I'm not looking to use that as kind of a professional launching point. It's just purely these are movies that I just really want to make and I want to share with other people. And if we eventually get an award that has monetary value, that would be really cool. But at the moment, I think the goal is not profit or monetary gain from these movies. These are just movies that I think are fun and I had fun making them and I want to share with others.
Well, how would you know when you make that leap to, let's see, semi-professional or something above hobbyist? How would you know?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it's when we start getting money.
Money?
Yeah,
monetary?
Money, yeah, exactly. And I think part of that would be making the jump from short film to feature films, which, even then, I think we've definitely talked about doing a feature sometime in the next, I'm giving people roughly 2 to 5 years of, it could take more than that to develop it because we're not working on a timeline, but.
Have you guys written something that's feature-length?
Not yet.
You got to do that first, just so you know.
Exactly.
We've thrown around ideas. We've really talked about, because I like the writing process a lot. I like the discovery process. I really like looking at movies as almost like a puzzle of all the things you want to get in there and figuring out the setup and the payoff and the flow of scene to scene, how it all will make sense.
Well, you're a science guy, right? You're a
exactly.
software engineer.
I'm a STEM major, statistical science, with minors in math and film. The film was to keep me sane, but
that was to get chicks, be honest.
Did it work? I was going to ask,
it did not
has
work,
it kept you sane doing film? I feel like that's a pretty high stress position too, doing film.
Yeah, but it was funny because senior year, Andrew, he took the hardest film classes where you had to make your pilot.
Yes.
And that controlled your life.
Exactly.
On his pilot.
Right. And there's obviously a benefit to that because you made a connection.
Yes.
I took the easiest film class I could senior year because I kind of hit a point of, I've learned a lot of skills. I want to keep doing this. I know how hard this can be. I am not going to have the time or energy to be up until 3 a.m. Editing while also figuring out my senior stats classes.
What was the easiest film class at the U of the M? And this M being Minnesota. I'm from Michigan. Are you guys from the Minnesota, both of you?
Yep.
All right.
Shoreview originally.
Shoreview. All right.
Sounds
Sorry.
good.
So what was the?
And I'd say Plymouth is my hometown because I guess kind of jumped around different locations of the metro. Had a brief stint where I lived a year and a half in Wichita, Kansas, and then we moved back.
When was that?
That was when I was 9 to 10.
Weren't you in Texas briefly too?
Unfortunately, as much as I'd like to, I can't say born and raised in Minnesota because I was technically born in Texas, but I moved to Minnesota when I was like 1. So, I pretty much my whole childhood, except for that brief stint in Kansas, was living in Minnesota and growing up in Minnesota. I think I lived in Rogers for like 1st grade through 3rd grade, moved to Kansas for like when I was 9, 4th and a little bit of 5th grade. And then
People are going to fact check this, so make sure you get it right.
I mean, if my life is that interesting that they're going to fact check and look through it, I'd be, I guess, a little flattered, a little creeped out. But
See, I think this is going to be the fact checking for your future Wikipedia page. Everything's going to be citing back to this.
This is journalism right now. So what was the easiest film class of the U?
I don't remember the exact class, but it was an art class instead of a comm class because most of the film classes were, film production classes were comm. And it was the only class that didn't care at all about copyrighted material. So she was just like, yeah, you can use music. I don't care. It was clearly sort of made as an intro class, but because it was different enough from my comm intro classes, I was able to take it for more credit. But it was a really fun class because it was just like, it was way more make what you want than trying to prepare you for what a career in the field was like, which is what the comm classes were more like. Mark, what was his name?
Mark Newman Scott.
Yeah. Who was a great professor and really enjoyed what he taught us.
One of my favorite professors at the U, hands down.
But like the class could be a little hardcore in how seriously they were taking the production.
Like bloodletting or something? Or?
I remember making a film in which there was construction, like crane equipment in the background. And I was like, this is fine, right? And he was like, no, it looks ugly. And like we had to go back and figure out how to Photoshop it out. Compared to this art history class where it was like, make a music video. Just take a song you like and make a 2-minute music video. And I made a video of me up against a green screen dancing to Hungry Like the Wolf. And halfway through, I turned into a werewolf. And I also cut to...
With makeup or VFX?
With, I put on a fake beard and fake ears and werewolf teeth. They're like sharp teeth. Then I also cut to my dog playing the drums because I made my sister kind of hide behind my dog in like a sweatshirt, like a gray sweatshirt, and kind of moving my dog's paws around. Put sunglasses on my dog and was like playing a rock band drum set. That was my easy film class, doing goofy stuff like that.
Loads of checks with this.
I was getting exactly as many as you'd think.
That's
how I'll answer that.
I will say I briefly got to introduce Chris as a director of music videos, and Chris would be like, I made one music video.
I think you might have introduced him to me that way, and he probably did have that reaction. What was this? You were making like a pilot where some kid does some sort of computer thing, and there was grizzled, we'll call him over 40, FBI guy and Latina FBI lady. Is this correct? What was that for?
That was the hardest film class I ever took, or media production class, where it's basically like you are going to make a TV pilot, and I think the typical length was like, I think it's in the course description and they or syllabus, it was like 15 to 20 minutes. But I think most productions ended up being like about 20 to 25.
Wow.
And, very much like, this could be an hour long, but like, with how hard it is to make pilots, and just, the overwhelming like amount of work you have to do, like, 20 to 25 minutes, like that was pretty much the standard and pretty much like how, like kind of what was expected. So, mine was, a guy who is in college, because I was in college at the time, who does his kind of own like college, or he's basically trying to be a journalist. So he kind of has his own journalism called MCTV, which is the name of the pilot. Because I think I made my own like fictional city that was a Minneapolis stand-in called Mark City. And then this kind of like hacker, like activist, like who calls himself The Reckoning, because I feel like that was before I saw Reckoning being used in, movies or shows. Like obviously we have Mission Impossible now.
Never heard of it.
As I look at your Final Reckoning poster behind you.
That's correct. We just took a picture in front of that poster.
Nice. Yeah, it'll be on Facebook.
So I've heard of it. There's movie posters in here for movies I haven't seen. I'll find one eventually. Don't worry about. Afraid with the AI. I didn't see that movie, but the poster was
terrible movie. You don't need to see it. No.
It's an interesting poster.
Exactly. So it was free, and I got it.
Well, I guess what's kind of funny about my pilot is I think at the time like I was just like I want to make something really serious and like full of themes and like very topical. So it was kind of like hacktivists, which I hadn't even watched any of Mr. Robot at that point, but like it was kind of from what I've seen of Mr. Robot, like trying to go for like the timely like hacktivist vibe and hacktivist who's like threatening to just kind of just like use technology to like stick it to society and basically the main character, the protagonist, the college journalist, just finds himself at kind of the center of the conspiracy of like who is this hacker guy and like how is he connected. And I think he also like he basically gets questioned by the FBI for like you're connected to this hacker somehow, and he's like, what? I'm just a college student who just does news on my own, like broadcasting news on the side. So
did you know who Julian Assange was when you were doing this?
I did.
Okay.
I didn't know, like I hadn't seen the Benedict Cumberbatch movie.
No one saw that movie.
Wow. Somebody might have seen that movie.
See the WikiLeaks guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I know he was in an episode of The Simpsons.
Yes. Good job.
That's I think
So I learned a lot of my pop culture awareness was from The Simpsons.
He published the Podesta emails, and I won't say what election that was related to. I'm going to transition you from...
Wait, did you finish your story about your project?
I consider that the most ambitious project that I've ever done.
What? Your first one?
Well, I mean, that wasn't why. That was, I guess I kind of like think of like a distinction between my college projects and like my high horse projects that I've been doing with Chris, where that was, I mean, it wasn't my first college project, so I don't think of it as like my first movie. And I think that's, I mean, that's an interesting topic of like, what do you consider your first like short film? Like all the fun kind of like scrappy things you did when you were a kid. Because what I think is kind of fun is a lot of like filmmakers, like old school filmmakers like Spielberg started with Super 8. And I never used a Super 8 camera, but my Super 8 camera was a cell phone. So made a lot of productions with that, with like just my first flip phone. Unfortunately, lost to time. I don't have the Super 8 saved anywhere. Kind of regret that, but
Probably something that would change the landscape of cinema. So I'm glad that... I am curious, though, where I was going with transition is going from college to being in the city you live in after that and becoming a part of the, we'll call it community there. You've both participated in festivals where there at times have been professionals competing against you, people working on, you're going to be in, are you guys doing 48 this year?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. There's going to be people who work for Target who compete in that and have been doing it for a little while. People who own, or used to be people who own like a whole theater competing in it, So how did you make the transition from college to being in the local, we'll call it filmmaking community?
A lot of it started from the fact that we never actually worked together in any of our school projects. We met in these film classes. I remember distinctly, I've told the story before, we were like in line learning how to work the cameras and everything for our first media production class. It was the one where it emulates filming a live production. So you had somebody in the back room switching from camera 1 to camera 2 to camera 3. And you learned all the positions and you rotated. And we were kind of in line to work the camera. People were sort of asking questions like how the different positions work and does everybody do this? Like, do directors do this? And we're talking about how, there's different skill sets for different positions. Like, I said Christopher Nolan's cinematographer, is a great cinematographer, but he just made his directorial debut and it wasn't received very well. And he went like, yeah, Wally Fitzer. And I was like, okay, this guy, we're gonna be friends.
He knew a name. He's my friend.
He knew.
I can't remember that guy's name, Wally Fitzer. He hasn't gone back to shooting Nolan movies, has he?
I don't think he has.
No, I think because obviously he did the Transcendence.
Yes.
I think with Johnny Depp.
That was it.
Where he becomes
where
AI?
Johnny Depp uploads his consciousness to a computer or whatever. I never saw it, but
I did.
I think he does. He's maybe done like TV or like he's never done another feature film, but like he's now directing smaller stuff.
I bet you that movie's going to be prescient in some way because if you saw Mountainhead, that's kind of they don't do the exact same thing, but they talk about doing that.
Well, you know what? The episode of Batman Beyond where a billionaire uploads his consciousness to an AI did it first.
I'm sure the concept has been around for a while because to some degree you could say The Wizard of Oz is a form of that because he transitions his...
It's not.
Oh, this is the debate.
His physical body is still there.
It's a projection, not an upload.
He's not uploading
representing his self in another format. How could someone that was written in the beginning of the 1900s? So I'm suggesting that in further adaptations, there's been Batman Beyond in the 90s did it first.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an example that if we were to look something up now. But
RoboCop 2 probably beat it to Batman Beyond.
Wait, RoboCop 2 does it? Who uploads their consciousness in RoboCop 2?
The villain the drug dealer who after he gets killed, they put his brain in a computer and you have a creepy early CGI face like in the TV, like kind of going back and forth.
Armin Zola, then I think...
You know what? Yeah, Armin Zola might have him beat in the comics.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's a good example.
I'm sure that this concept has been around for a while.
Anyway.
No, not anyway. We need to remember that you guys became friends because he knew a DP's name.
I thought that was cool because my previous film classes, it was a lot of people who took it to be an easy class and weren't necessarily into movies. Like everybody likes watching movies, but like I remember when a first day of a film class, somebody raised their hand as the teacher's talking about, the tests and papers we're going to be writing in class. Somebody raised their hand, said something along the lines of, "Wait, we're gonna have to write papers like we do about books?" And was so caught off guard at the concept of analyzing film. Meeting a guy who's just like, "Gotcha, you actually are into movies." And not that I want to gatekeep liking movies, but it was fun meeting somebody who I knew we'd be able to talk about things on another level.
That's like when people who talk about sports know the coaching staff of the team.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't think those guys practice basketball or football in the way that they can, I'm going to be able to do this someday and maybe get better at it and then do it at the pro level.
Right.
And to wrap things up, we always ask our guests, who should we have next on our podcast? Anyone in mind?
I think you hit most of our recent connections.
Yeah.
We hit most of them. You're talking about Nora?
Nora and Eric are been kind of our biggest collaborators that have... I mean, Eric's been making waves for a bit, and Nora
making waves. I like that.
Not actually the movie Waves.
Oh yes, not the movie Waves, but
is there a
metaphorically
movie called Waves?
making waves.
Yeah, came out like an indie movie that came out in 2019.
Come hard. We say that at the gym to each other all the time because you're supposed to show up with your full, aggressive self to do gym stuff.
I think
I've seen Schwarzenegger's speech in Pump and Iron. I'm hoping you've seen it because you're the only one that would get that reference.
I think I've watched all of Pumping Iron. That's the one where he's
it's him against Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah,
Mr.
he's
Universe.
an asshole in the movie.
Yeah, he goes and negs his family and stuff. I've watched specifically that part.
I think I've seen bits of Pumping and Iron, and from what I hear, Schwarzenegger is very Machiavellian.
Yes,
he's if bodybuilders that I'm competing against ask for advice, I'll just give them wrong advice because I want them to lose.
Yeah.
Yes, he's very direct about that.
But it's he went on to have a really good career. He's a very Schwarzenegger, is I think a very smart, very driven person.
He is a smart, very driven person.
I think his character, that can be analyzed from a lot of different angles.
You mean cheating on a Kennedy or something else?
I mean, yeah, that's part of it. And then, he's also...
You have the housekeeper right there. It's hard not to think about doing the housekeeper when she's right there. I'm sorry, JFK. or RFK, who's ever taught their own niece that I cheated on.
Well, I think that's a great place to end it.
Wait, they didn't recommend anyone, did they?
Oh, no,
No,
I was
okay.
going to
Okay.
recommend when the movie Superman comes on, and I know you have podcasts around movies that have come out, like
We do
Mission
that.
Impossible.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you need to bring on Chris.
We need to
Superman?
bring
So
on
your
Chris for
recommendation is me again.
Yes, like I don't even need to like I can be here, but like I feel like it should, like if you have someone scheduled for Superman when that comes out, cancel.
We've got
bring on
people
Chris.
vying for the Superman slot. Why are you a good Superman?
Nobody knows Superman quite like
Ooh,
Chris.
all right.
Why is
When
it,
the
what's wrong with you?
the teaser trailer of Superman came out, like, and we have like weekly calls with our buddy Owen, who lives in Madison. Like Chris went on for like an hour and a half just about his thoughts on the trailer, breaking down every possible angle, giving very, nuanced discussions about like, this is how I see Superman. This is what I want to see. And this is kind of my overall like thoughts about everything that pretty much every angle you can kind of cover the trailer. Like a minute, or about 2 minute long teaser trailer, like hour and a half, just unfiltered, like, this is what I think about the trailer.
You have a weekly call with your friend Owen in Madison, that one state over? How does that, like...
Usually we just like play games online or something.
Oh, okay, the way
I mean,
men...
they're still in the same time zone, so
Sure, I'm
not
not
that
saying...
hard.
Like, I'm just...
Yeah.
The part of that I found interesting is that we have a weekly call with our friend Owen. I just imagine them all like twirling their hair and like...
wow.
on the other hand, they're holding the corded phone while like
Yeah,
doing
their legs
the
are
pose.
kicked up. Yeah, they're laying flat on their stomach.
It used to be in person when Owen was in town.
Yeah,
He's
we'd
now in
get
Madison.
together every Monday and play video games, and then he moved back to Madison, and we just started playing online.
What? Now I gotta ask, what video games do you play?
We alternate between stuff. Well, the thing is, what we were doing when we were in person was we would like take turns on a single player game because we're all adults with no time management. Especially like I haven't played through an entire video game in years, and that was
Think of
kind
you
of
guys as being much younger than me. I don't play video games, so this is...
yeah.
Kirk
It was
plays
kind of an
video
excuse to like hang out and also get through some games we've been meaning to play.
For sure.
And yeah, we just figured out how to like stream single player games to each other and like take turns on it. This week we played the new Indiana Jones game.
Wait, so you're playing single player games and switching off the controls?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What I thought was super fascinating about the new Indiana Jones game is I didn't know that with the share play feature on PSN online, like you can play PS5 games on a PS4. And that just was like, whoa, like that's a game changer. Like Chris was playing the new Indiana Jones game on his PS4, and I'll double check if that game even came out for PS4.
It didn't.
Yeah, there you go. It's a game that only came out for PS5 that Chris was perfectly fine playing it on his PS4. And I was just like, that's so cool.
Well,
Like,
you're using like the servers in the cloud and stuff now versus what's on your hardware in your...
exactly. So I'm sure, the technical specifications, like, and there was a couple times when the Wi-Fi was a bit laggy, but for the most part, I mean, the graphics are so good nowadays that like it runs perfectly fine. It looks pretty good. It might not be 4K, but it's still HD gameplay of really good graphics on a PS4. And I just thought that was super cool.
Thank you for listening. For more JK Productions, find us on Instagram at JK Productions Team and on Facebook, JK Productions MN. Join us next time for another debate.